we're finally back in the lab. This is exciting. A little Thanksgiving Eve bonus episode. Yeah, now we're talking a little Thanksgiving Eve bonus episode. Welcome everyone to Living Room Sports Talk. I know we're off our normal schedule here. We got Kim McCauley, Zach Rothenberg, we got the great Dr. Frank Shannon here in the building, in the flesh. Let's go, baby. Oh my God, I'm pumped for a little basketball chat tonight, Frank. This is gonna be great.
I'm ready, Let's do it.
I feel like we've already been rolling along here. I feel better. It wouldn't be me producing a show if we're a little bit late, but this is fun. I feel like Thanksgiving Eve is a little fun too. You know, it's like holidays around the corner and stuff. Hot take. I always love Thanksgiving. It's like my low key favorite holiday.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I love Thanksgiving too.
You think it's the best
one? It's mine as well. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. All right. I feel like you appreciate it more as you get older. You know what I mean? Like, because if you're a kid, you're like, come on, let's just get some presents at Christmas, like that whole thing. Like, but I don't know. When you get older and you enjoy eating a lot more, you like, maybe the wine's flowing a little bit, whatever.
Yeah, there's football, obviously, NCAA basketball, typically in a normal world, NBA basketball, unless they're off. I don't recall, but there's always a Godfather marathon and a Rocky marathon on somewhere, and obviously like the thankfulness and all the other good stuff too. Yeah, it's always a good holiday.
I love it. Frank, you got any fun plans for the holidays? You said you're off.
I'm off here.
Frank's not in the office this week, baby.
And today's my sister's birthday, so we had a big birthday party prior to the podcast, Kieran. So happy birthday with my sister, the big 30.
Oh my God, 30?
Big birthday, Kieran.
Oh my God, you gotta wish her a happy birthday. From the Living Room Sports Talk crew, a little happy birthday.
There it is. Perfect.
Oh, I love it. I'll tell you, it's funny because I know how normally we do clickbait to start the show. And I was kind of sitting here and I was wondering, like, I know, Zach, we were kind of like talking a little bit back and forth about some. And Frank, let me ask you real quick, as an Eagles fan, did you hear what Doug said today about Carson?
What did he say?
I'm going to play the clip real quick for everyone so they can hear it.
Right, Doug, to a different quarterback?
Not today on Wednesday, no.
Okay, possibly for Monday?
I'm focused right now on getting better today. I mean,
okay.
We're looking. I don't know. I mean, I would say no.
Carson's your starter for Monday.
Yeah.
I just don't be coy. Like, right? Like, oh, there's not gonna be a quarterback change on a Wednesday. Like, I don't know. But then, like, was that just head games? I mean, Zach, you know the football clickbait circuits quite well. Was this just head games to make Pete Carroll watch a little extra film on maybe some more Jalen Hurts and saying that, we'll see who starts on, like, that whole thing? Or is that more him maybe being tired of the media, or is he being serious?
Well, I think from a body language perspective, I think he's definitely tired of the media and being asked the same question for the last several weeks, I would say.
So he's more just playing head games with them now?
That's what I think. I think he's also, I feel like Peterson's a pretty strategic coach. So, yeah, I think he's playing a little games. He's playing a little poker right now with the other coaches in the league, trying to not show his hand, I think. So even though deep down he's not going to move on from Wentz, in my opinion, unless things get really bad later on in the season.
It probably makes sense this for us. First of all, you're running our fantasy league, right? So makes sense. Zach, he's got the eyes, though. He's ready to make a run. But Frank, makes sense this for me, right? As an Eagles fan, where do you diagnose that problem? Like, is like, because I'll add one caveat. I was saying this to the great John Henry today. You can't bench Carson Wentz because it would be like if we were doing fantasy and I have a guy stuffed on my bench and I'm like, yo, Frank, like, you want him? I want a lot for him. And you're like, no, like, he's on your bench. I'm like, oh, no, but he's valuable. Like there's no value. Like, once you put him on the bench, like, it's that he goes almost to a whole new world in the negotiation world. It's basically like saying, like, all right, well, like, unless you just want like a 5th round pick or a 4th round pick for him, You there, Frank?
Thank you, froze.
He fell asleep on us.
There we go. Oh my God! I was talking about how you're a fire sale anyway yourself within the fantasy football world.
Sure did.
All about giving away the players. So
whoa! You know what? There wasn't a market. No one texted me back. There's no market.
No, so, I mean, like Zach said, I mean, Peterson's riding with Wentz, for the rest of the season until they're eliminated from the playoffs, and may think about benching him, maybe.
Well, and I love what Joe said in the chat too, because like he's kind of playing the Bill Belichick card. It's like you're 3-6-1. Like you why are you playing interested? Like, it's, I don't know. Like, why are you playing head games in the media? Like, it doesn't. I don't know. It just this seems like sloppy.
Sloppy putting it kindly.
Yeah, you're right.
That Cleveland game was just it was impossible to watch that game. I mean, the offense was just at a sword. You had guys lining up incorrectly on like key plays. That was awful. I mean, Sanders was running all over the place in the first half, and he's non-existent in the second half. It's like the Eagles are one guy will be featured and then he disappears. Then Fulgham starts making some catches, then he disappears. And it's like the whole broadcast they're going, the Eagles have no deep threat. Like, isn't that why they drafted Jalen Reagor? Like, aren't they going to like let him run down the field or something like that? And I know the weather conditions were bad, but you got to try to strike. There's no creativity at all. It's all just like it's like a 10-yard out or it's like a simple handoff. The defense, they don't have to game plan for a whole lot.
It's stale.
Yeah.
They made the Browns defense look like the Ravens from like the early 2000s. It was I kept flipping back between that and red zone, and I was like, really? And of course, I'm playing against the Browns defense in fantasy football, so they're going off, and I'm like, are you serious right now? But
it's because I was watching Red Zone 2, Zach, and you're right, they didn't really go to the game that much.
no, they didn't.
Nothing was happening.
Yeah, I saw a fumble at the 5-yard line early on, and a pick from Denzel Ward, and that was about it on red zone.
That was it.
They showed, yeah.
That's all they need to show the whole game. That was it.
You're right. I mean, we got a great show for everyone. So yeah, I like a little Thanksgiving Eve clickbait. It was almost like a spin edition. I like that. One thing, is it clickbait? Is it not? You know. All right, but that's right. We got a great show. And Frank, there's a reason why we got you on tonight. The doctor is in here to talk a little college hoops. It's Thanksgiving Eve, but it's also college hoops, whatever, beginning.
The kickoff, yeah, whatever.
Exactly. There you go. That's the word.
Yeah,
I learned that word in second grade spelling, but it just failed me there. All right, but to that point, Frank, it's funny. I have like so many questions I want to ask you about this year. I'm gonna like ask you a bizarre one to get started, though. Just it's almost like you're the narrator, right? And like the season, like it was a really wild season ending that kind of abruptly ended like a year and a half ago. It's like Game of Thrones kind of. It's like previously on college basketball, like kind of like pick us up like where you feel like we've left off in this world of college hoops. It's kind of a really bizarre and tough question to answer, but
we kind of left off where we were before. I mean, we really are. We're in a spot now where teams are still getting games canceled literally like an hour or two before the game. It happened today. Like Monmouth's supposed to play Hofstra, and then a couple hours before the game, Monmouth for the second time now is going to have to shut down for 14 days already. So it's the same issues that were going to creep up if they kept playing through the tournament. It's just what I look at is if your team's playing, that's just great. You should just enjoy the game and root your team on because you never know when the next game's going to be. So just enjoy it now.
And it's funny. It's so funny you said that because I'm not even gonna lie. I'm gonna try to see if I can like show you like obviously my notes. Like these little scribble marks in there.
Yeah.
I was actually sitting there and I was like, and I put like, so how do you think the season's gonna go? Nah, he doesn't know. Like, well, do you think Corona's gonna play a huge impact? He doesn't know. Like I was like, trying, but like everyone wants to know that answer, but like
right.
Obviously I'm not sitting there saying, Dr. Frank, tell you, right? But it's like, what?
But we'll tell you, they're going to have an NCAA tournament. I mean,
okay, so yeah,
that's 1,000% having. NCAA has lost so much money on college football, they can't lose it on college basketball. They're going to bubble those teams up, even if they take all 365 teams and put them in the tournament. They're 100% going to have an NCAA tournament because they need that money. It's happening.
They do. I can't believe it's almost like a beach town closing down Memorial Day, 4th of July, and then Labor Day. It's like, what are you doing?
Exactly. And it's crazy.
They were also in the mouth of this whole thing when it unfolded, but
and it's crazy how different leagues have different protocols, and teams have been practicing differently throughout the year. I was talking to you earlier today. Georgetown didn't have any summer workouts. Period. The players weren't even on campus, and they finally came back and have been practicing for I believe 4 weeks. Some other teams like Villanova had their players there all summer, and they're going through workouts and everything. Then you have another team that shows up for 4 weeks, and then you have certain leagues like Baylor has their coach test positive, but they still send a team to the tournament. And then you got Big East teams where a manager tests positive, and the entire team is shut down for 2 weeks. So it's all over the place. So
it does seem like a circus.
Total circus. I mean. The thing is, financially, they can't bubble. These conferences don't have the money to bubble these players. I also think it's hilarious how in the state of New Mexico, they're not even letting New Mexico and New Mexico State play any games in state. The teams have moved to Texas to play their games.
Really?
Oh yeah, they are not allowed to play any college basketball games in New Mexico. So both of those schools will be playing road games for the entire season.
Wow.
That sucks.
And both of those teams actually aren't bad, and they both had a chance of making the tournament. And they're going to be playing their games in Texas and playing league games. There's no games in the state of New Mexico this year.
And that actually leads me to a good question, because I was going to say, not even a good question, but like the point would be, right, obviously football, they did just conference only. I know they're doing some tournaments right now, and we're seeing some non-conference action. So, like, what's the script this year for college basketball? Is it kind of try to fit this normal amount of games in with the same, like, act like the traveling? Because, like, obviously there's so much traveling in college basketball. A lot of these teams, right, they go, like Temple, for example, they might go down and play UCF on, like, a Tuesday and then play Tulsa on a Saturday, and they just keep moving around and then they come back. Like, you know what I mean? They're out on the road for a week and a half.
Exactly. I mean, I think you have to play. You can't play more than 27 games this year. Is what the answer of regular season games.
And what's the normal cap?
Like I think like 30.
Okay.
Yeah, they tried to cut it down. You only have to play like 5 non-conference games this year. Usually it's like 8 or 9. They want to incentivize you to play. They want to incentivize you to play in conference. Now, some of these conferences like the American and like Conference USA and like the Big East, like what in the world is like Providence going to do? They're going to go fly to Creighton and play a game, and then like usually the trip in the Big East is you play Marquette and DePaul in the same week, and you travel so you can hit those teams at the same time. Well, they're going to have them travel to Illinois, and then have them roll in COVID in the Midwest, where COVID is out of control right now. They're going to have these teams flying and staying. Like, it's going to be tough. I mean, like I said, if your team's playing, just be happy they're playing.
Because football has this, I feel like it's a week. It's a week. That's basically what my point is. Like, right, it's a lot easier to just go like 8 games and go like 4 games out on the road, 4 games at home. Like, right, like that's pretty doable, especially when it's in conference and they're all relatively like Penn State and Maryland, not far. Penn State, Rutgers, not far. Right, like those types of ideas. Using obviously the Northeast as an example, but right. So not to be this guy, I'm not trying to ask you to be like, oh, tell us that what's going to happen. But do you see this year really? I mean, you kind of see it in football a little bit how it's jaded in the rankings, right? How like Coastal, and actually it's kind of cool, but like Coastal Carolina and BYU, like there's these teams that are kind of getting a little bit more of like a push because they've been playing, and especially BYU, for example, they were like one of the first teams to go off in football. But what do you expect with basketball? Like, are you afraid? Because look, you just said Monmouth, 14 days. Like, if we start, like, you just use an example. You go to Chicago, then you go to Milwaukee. What if, like, 3 teams get knocked out in that road trip because the 2 home teams that were hosting this team that also, like, could you see this house of cards tumbling pretty quickly?
Oh, totally. It definitely could. I mean, there's no doubt it could crumble. They just have to.
Let me marry this question then to, sorry, I feel like I'm cutting you off. Let me marry this point then. You're saying the tournament will definitely happen, but you're saying this could also go down like a house of cards. So try to, like, push that together and make sense for that for me.
Right, well, the tournament will happen. They just may take all the major conference teams and throw them in there, and then have conference. Or they might just like pause the season and then all of a sudden pick up with conference tournaments, play the conference tournaments, and whoever wins gets in, and then they just go from there. I mean, they're gonna let the season happen. It's just some of these teams are gonna. I don't know what happens in some of these leagues if 14 days happen, because that's like 4 games right there you're going to miss in league play. I mean,
it's almost like they'd be better off just doing what you said and just doing a tournament. Whether it's in March or February or whatever, and just do a tournament and not actually have a regular season because of all these logistical challenges that you're bringing up.
100%. Like one of the thoughts was like just have regional tournaments, like teams in the Northeast play, teams in the Southeast, whatever, Midwest, Southwest, Northwest. Play like a bunch of regionals, and then whoever comes out is it, and then you go from there. I mean, you play as many of these conference and non-conference games as you can, and then seed somehow for a tournament, and then go from there. I mean, it's going to be really. I mean, Rick Pitino has been out there like advocating for like May Madness and pushing the thing back, but I mean, are people really going to be like, yeah, let's vaccinate the college athletes, but don't vaccinate my parents? You know what I mean? That would not work.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't. And you were saying, I'm just looking at the chat too. So you're saying it's out of the question for the conferences to like bubble up and do like a conference bubble or stuff because there's not enough money.
I mean, I think if they could, they would. I know Las Vegas offered to bubble a lot, like 6 conferences at once out there. Like they wanted the Pac-12, they wanted the West Coast Conference, they
The
wanted the
Mountain
WAC.
West.
Yeah, they wanted the WAC, they wanted the Western Athletic, Gonzaga's league.
Yeah, yeah.
They wanted to put all them in Vegas, and they had the whole thing planned. But financially, it just didn't work out. I mean, some of these leagues are doable. Like if you play in the Patriot League, like the Navies and the Colgates, you can do a weekend drive and get them in. Like that's doable. That's the one reason why I was a little. The Ivy League canceling the season.
Didn't the
That
Patriot
league
do it
was
too, or
perfect.
was that just for football?
No, basketball's done.
Oh, that's what I thought. Okay.
So that would have been perfect for them because they do weekend trips anyway when they play Friday, Saturday. And that could have been doable, but that's why in the Ivy League they're student athletes. Athletics are totally weighing on the rung for them. But, yeah.
It sucks because I feel there's some good, like, they're always fun too. Always the Ivy League game in the tournament, you know?
Okay, in the Ivy League. I had a gigantic Ivy League preview for you. I
was about to say, I had pen in my notes to be like, how
I can still
suck
talk
for them not being able to play
talk
this year.
about things here.
Oh, we will.
I can still talk about the Lakers.
Let's jump into the top 10 real quick because there's been obviously a lot of games today, and it's interesting because we were saying before we jumped on the air, and I found this funny. Like Zach, we were saying like, oh, I can't wait to get to number 2 for you. That's gonna be so great. The emotion that I need more passion, Vincent. Like Zach, you're gonna like really break it out on this. All right, so the top 10. I'll just read the top 10. I'll pull up the top 25 for everybody, but just for audio and everybody, if you're not listening or watching, sorry, if you're not watching it, I can read it off for. So top 10 goes. Number 1's Gonzaga. Number 2 is Baylor. Actually, no. Let's walk it out. Let's just have some fun with it. Let's start with Gonzaga, right? Okay. So I'm not gonna lie. I kind of feel like they're the Sixers. They're the same version of their failures. It's just somehow they always find a way to pull it over my eyes and make me feel like it's gonna be different this year. But okay. So let me ask you this: like, why this year, right? Like. Everyone's saying what I'm just saying. It's like, oh, another year Gonzaga is touted to be good, and they will do something great. Maybe they'll even go to the national championship. They don't win it. They never win it.
Right.
And I'll even double down. Being a guy that went to Spokane and seeing the tiny little campus, I'm like, wait, no way. This place actually punches out like a top like
NBA players, right?
Yeah.
No, this year, the big news happened the other day when Andrew Lombard was declared eligible immediately as a transfer from Florida. And he's Florida's starting point guard. He's an immediate impact player. He'll be really good for them. And the difference with Gonzaga this year is that they lost a lot from last year's team. Ryan Woolridge, Philip Petrusev declared to go play professional over in Europe. He would have been a first-team All-American this year in college basketball. He left Gonzaga and he left his sophomore year there. So they lost a lot. But the 3 high school players they brought in, Jalen Suggs, Dominic Harris, and Julian Strother, they're all backcourt players, and you put them with Lombard, it's a totally different backcourt with Cody Kispert, who's going to be first-team All-League. They're going to rely heavily on a totally different backcourt than they usually have. These guys are super athletic. Jalen Suggs is arguably the number 1 high school football recruit in the country as well as a quarterback from Minnesota. He is a probable lottery pick in the NBA. He's a 6'5" guard. You pair him with Strother, who's a 6'5" shooting guard, and Dominic Harris, 6'3" guard from Los Angeles. That's where their athleticism. The athleticism for them is much different this year than it's been in the past.
Okay, but let me throw that other. It's like, but they play out west, and they play like St. Mary's is always the best game they play. And I like, is there something to be said about that? Like, I'm not even like ripping them for like what conference they're in. I'm more just saying like I feel like then they get to the tournament, and granted, I feel like more in recent past they made further runs, but it's like, oh, like that. It's like I can't get over when they're beating San Francisco by 40 on a Wednesday, Yeah.
I just think they have more players. Like their roster is loaded. I mean, they got guys sitting on the bench that would be starting at high. I mean, they're able to redshirt guys now that are legitimate high major studs. I mean, they basically redshirted Umar Ballo and Pavel Zakharov last year, 2 freshmen, 6'11" centers who would have started for probably 95% of the teams in Division I. I mean, those guys are stars, and they both basically redshirted last year and got bigger and stronger and better. They have the program to do that now. They have so much depth. I mean,
Kind of like with Nova and Mikal Bridges.
oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, Nova, exactly. Gonzaga builds like Nova, so rarely do you see. That's what's different about Gonzaga this year. They're going to have freshmen who are going to really contribute. Look at Nova. Their freshmen get like Jeremiah Robinson all this year. What last year he got 11 points and 9 rebounds a game. still got 18 and 10 this year. Like what Sadiq Bey did. He started off slow, and then his second year he made that jump. That's what the Gonzaga guys usually do too. So.
And they legit, so you really, obviously they're ranked number one in the country, so they have a real chance of winning a national championship, but do you really believe this team could hoist it up at the end?
Oh, definitely. With Nembhard especially eligible now, he changes everything, because he went from a super young and really talented backcourt to now they have a guy who's a starting point guard on good Florida teams for the last 2 years. Adding to that, they have a ton of depth. The key for them is what are they going to do with they lost some good big men, Killian Tilly and Petrusev. Drew Timmy's still there, and then one of the other younger guys going to have to step up, but they have plenty of talent to do that.
I had to fix the date again. There's something about Frank, every time we're on, I always screw up the date on our show. I always do. I hate myself for that. For the audio people, you don't have to worry about that. But
I was gonna add, I feel like if there's a year for Gonzaga to win it, wouldn't this be the season? Like it just typical. This would be the year to win it, and like not taking anything away from them, but it just seems like with all this other crazy stuff going on, maybe they finally do it. So,
yeah.
Well, Zach, you know who number 2 is. And
Somehow.
Frank, I feel like our early episodes of Living Room Sports Talk, the black and white episodes, the dusted off, the video cassette,
the SoundCloud days.
the SoundCloud episodes, exactly. no video, no Twitch, no live. Well, actually, no. I feel like we talked about them on the live stream a little bit.
The night
Zach
that
has
hit the fan.
I never knew you'd feel some type of way about a college basketball team. Number 2, I'll just set the stage, and Zach, you run with this. Number 2 in the nation, the Baylor Bears.
No, I just think that they're extremely overrated. I mean, every game last year that I saw them play, and Frank, we were talking about this before we started the show. It's like they could be playing Sisters of the Poor down the street, and then they're going to play like Sisters of the Poor that night, and they'll win by 2 points. So, don't ever take Baylor. Don't ever take them from a betting perspective, because they won't cover for you. I think why I'm so bitter is because I think I took them one game and they lost, and I figured out, they're ranked this high, we'll be good, and then they did me dirty again. So I think I hold grudges, so that's how it is, and it's just stuck to this very day.
But you did point out too, like they always lose. Like they were like there was a couple games like they're not going to cover this, they're not going to win this game. They lost these weird games like Iowa State or whatever.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. It's those type of situations, and like simply put, they just play down to whoever they play. It's a shame, but the media and AP polls feel differently. I don't know, Frank. Can you maybe shed some light on this and maybe rub off my jadedness a little bit?
Yeah, they do love them. I mean, Jared Butler in the guard's really good. They're a guard-based team after years of them being a big man team when it was like Isaiah Austin and Quincy Miller and Corey Jefferson. They used to throw 6'10" guys out there all over the court, and now they're led by guards, a lot of guards. And they're a good team. 2 might be a little high for them. I think it's just because they bring so much back from last year that people are comfortable going, okay, well, you know what, at least they knew they're going to be a good team. Like, they might not be a great team, but I'm confident in saying they're going to be good. So there's no reason to, what's the difference on this? I mean, especially this year where people have no idea where some of these teams are. 2 to 10, there's not a huge difference there.
Yeah. Could Baylor be like Penn State, whereas like Penn State, they come in ranked 9th and everyone thinks they're going to be good, and then you see what happened there? Could Baylor possibly be like that, or are they more legit, do we think?
I think they're more legit. And with basketball, football, God, I mean, I am a huge Penn State fan. And it was amazing how that Indiana play, that 2-point conversion literally just took the whole season and just threw it in a totally different direction. Basketball, you have more chances to rebound and recover, and you can lose 3 in a row and then win 10 in a row. It's really easy to come back from that. I don't think they'll fall that far, but they could fall out of the top 10, definitely.
And let me actually just throw that out there out of left field real quick. What do you think of Penn State's program with Pat Chambers being gone? They're like a team. I was going to say bet against Temple, bet against Penn State this year, football and basketball. Honestly, fade them both.
Penn State basketball this year, they lost Lamar Stevens and Mike Watkins, who I think they've been there like 30 years combined. So totally different team now. I mean, they still have some pretty good players. I mean, Miles Dredd's good. They got Sam Sesson coming off the transfer from Binghamton. He'll be good for them. They just don't have a lot of depth up front at all. John Harrar, Strathaven's finalist out there as their starting center. I mean, they don't have a lot of depth up front. And in the Big Ten this year, where you have so much depth up front with the really good teams, they're going to have a tough time in that league.
And it's funny. So I love Juji in the chat. It's funny because we're going to get to a team of his that he loves. Illinois, his little, mistress school, if you will.
Really?
Which is ironic because, well, just for basketball, because no, he loved like the D Brown and the Theron Williams, like that whole crew.
There's nothing wrong
As the coach.
Nothing wrong with Lovie Smith carrying on the football end of it. So
Yeah,
That's
is
true.
he still there?
he's still there.
I think his beard gets longer every year.
I was a big Juice Williams fan back in the day when he was a quarterback.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, well, so let's reroute it back to Pennsylvania. So you were talking about Nova a little bit. You were comparing them, their similarities to Gonzaga and how they build their program. They're number 3. They play right now, actually. Let me take a look at how they're doing.
Yeah, 9:30.
9:30 game. Okay, see, I'm an idiot. See, I'm Mountain Time. You're good right now in the 7 o'clock time. But all right, but to that point, what do you think of this Nova squad? Right, because I think I was actually saying to my buddy Jay today that because we were talking about that line and it was like fluttering between 13.5, 14. I was saying to him. And he was saying, I bet you BC covers that game. And I was saying, or it was not so much pro BC, but he was just more saying he felt like Nova always has the cachet, if you will, but then they don't really back it up necessarily. I joked around and said, I feel like they're the Seahawks, where it's like you think they're going to do that, and then they roll the Falcons on the road week 1 out in the Georgia Dome or wherever, the Mercedes-Benz Dome. You're just kind of like, why did I think they weren't going to be good this year? They're always good, even when I think that, even though I can't explain why they're going to be good, they're just good. Pete Carroll, Jay Wright, like that tradition or something. Is that what you see with this Nova program?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I think they got so much. I mean, Colin Gillespie is super solid at the point, and you got Jeremiah Robinson Earl, so you got a point guard and a center who are good. I mean, you can fill out whoever you want. It's really a shame Brian Anton got hurt again because they really need him to take them to the next level. But they got plenty more depth there with Cole Swider, Caleb Daniels is a nice transfer from Tulane. Then Roundtree coming back off injury. I mean, they had Eric Dixon off redshirt's going to be really solid this year. They're just always super solid. You know they're going to play defense. And BC is not very good. I mean, they're really good. They're going to struggle. I have a lot of transfers from some mid majors that'll help them a little bit, but Nova is really tough.
And I think you hit on earlier how Nova had their players practicing and together doing workouts for the last couple of months. So that's a big thing, too, to take into consideration.
Yep.
That's a great point. I didn't even think about that. I mean, how important is that, Frank? I mean, I know everyone talks about it, but I think there's people, especially, I'm not trying to be like, well, we play basketball, so we would know. But I think there's people that might say, well, isn't basketball, there's 5 guys, and the best guy can kind of take over. Especially college, not so much. How important is it that these guys have these summer sessions and gel and learn systems and stuff?
Huge, because look at the transfer epidemic in college basketball. Like 1,000 transfers in Division I last year. And I mean, it's cool. I mean, yeah, you put the 5 best guys out there, but they got to know what plays they're running. They got to know what defensive sets they're running. And even though, they got to learn how to play with each other. I mean, it's one thing to roll the ball out there and you may be able to get away with that against lesser competition, but once you start playing teams in your league in these high major conferences, you have to, coaching does help, and continuity really helps. That's why these teams, look at the teams that are ranked high. The Baylors and the Villanovas, those teams have continuity. Those guys stay in the program and they work with it. That's why you see that programs like Duke is a little down this year and Kentucky's down this year.
I was going to say, they're 9 and 10.
Yeah, it's not because the talent is necessary, but they're both bringing in gigantic recruiting classes in a year where the kids really didn't do a whole lot in the summer, so they're rolling the ball out there in a sense.
So let me throw in there. So we got UVA they rolled today. And they scored. I think they had 89 points. I think was their high since 2017.
Yeah, look at that. All the transfers. It was the transfers today.
Really?
Trey Murphy from Rice and.
Oh, he went 6 for 8 from 3.
Well, and Hauser from Marquette. Those guys were the leading scorers today. So.
And then I look at so you got 5, 7, and we'll get to who's 6 in a second. But 5, 7, and 8, all Big Ten schools. All Big Ten schools on the West Side too. I feel like I might talk the West Side, but strong side. But right, you got Iowa, Wisconsin, and then Illinois Iowa's 5, Wisconsin's 7, and then Illinois 8. So real quick, let's start with Fran McCaffrey's squad. Tell me more about these guys, right? I feel like he always punches out some gritty. So he always has a big guy like Isaac Haas or something like that. Oh, I guess that's Purdue, but still, you know what I mean? They have someone like that.
Yeah, I mean, Luka Garza, people love him. And he's a first-team All-American. He had 24 points, I think, today. I mean, he had a big day today. He's a really nice college player. He's not some guy that's going to blow you up on like NBA draft boards, and a lot of people have him projected as a first-round pick. He's just super solid. He works really hard, and Fran McCaffrey runs his system through him and maximizes what he does. I mean, that's what McCaffrey. He's got tall guards, Joe Wieskamp, and his son Connor McCaffrey show. They're just a tough team. They play good defense, and they get their best player the ball the whole game, which some teams have a tough time doing. So they're gonna. I don't know if they're 5. I think Illinois is better than them, but
Really?
oh yeah, I think Illinois is the best out of those 3 teams.
I was going to ask you, take your pick of the litter there.
Illinois, the firepower on that team is just. Now they're younger though. I mean, they're relying mainly on sophomores and freshmen, but today alone, Adam Miller, the freshman from Morgan Park in Chicago, he had 28 today. Ayo Dosunmu, another Morgan Park Chicago kid, they played together. He also had 28 for Illinois today. And you got Kofi Cochran in there, 6'11", 280 pounds, sophomore, who will be an NBA player one day. He'll score, and Brad Underwood gets them to defend. Illinois is going to be a really difficult team to play this year.
I saw he lost 40 pounds in the offseason, too.
Kofi Cochran?
No, Brad Underwood.
Brad Underwood.
Yeah.
Looking slim. They were talking about, that was one of the themes that the coaches said. They're like, oh man, he lost 15 pounds during the quarantine. I'm like, at least the coaches were getting themselves in shape.
Yeah, right. Well, he said, I saw an article, I guess his daughter asked, like, he was in an interview and they said, like, which of your 3 chins had, like, the best, like, answer or something like that. And he said after his daughter said that, he, like, lost 40 pounds or something like that. But, all right, so rounding out, so like we said, we had Duke and Kentucky at 9 and 10. That leaves us with the 6 team we haven't really talked about. You know, it's funny because I'm with you. I'm all on this. Like, John got me into this. The great John Henry got me into the Kansas bus when he won a free Xbox with the Chalmers run when they beat Derrick Rose, and he was always like, Kansas, good team, Kansas. And I always, like, after that was, like, moved by that moment. I was like, he knows, like, that's a blue chip program, and they always are there. And I feel like I saw a stat, I think it was, like, 2 or 3 years ago. They were, like, the actual, like, if you ranked all, like, 1 through, 300, whatever it is, like, all the teams that, like, cover the spread, they were literally the worst in the entire Division I at covering spreads. And I was like, wow, like, not to make it about gambling, but I think in general, right, that almost in a weird way, like, reflects how it goes in the tournament, right? They always have their scare, and they always kind of push down the Big 12 tournament, and then it's just like, here we go, like, and then they go to the tournament, and now it's like Sweet 16, like, you know, and now there's 6, and I feel like we talked about this a little bit on the show. Shaky on these guys? A little bit, right?
They're like the equivalent of, like, when Oklahoma makes the college football playoff. It's like, how good was the Big 12 really? Like, I really don't know how great some of these teams are. So, inevitably, since you only have so many conferences, if you have a team that's good in the Big 12, they're going to be ranked high. That's like Baylor. One of them has to be ranked in the top 5 to top 10 because you just can't leave a Big 12 team out. In Kansas, when you look at the roster this year, it's not filled with, like, surefire NBA players. Every position, like Marcus Garrett's a good name for him. He's a really good defender. And David McCormick at center is going to be a nice player. But they don't have, like, and they got Agbaji is a nice small forward, but they don't have a whole lot of, like, surefire. Oh, that is a lottery pick right there. I mean, Bill Self is a good coach, but he's really going to have to max out his team to finish in the top 5.
I feel like they haven't had that since, like, Mason and even his name is escaping me. He's really electric. There's a few guys. I mean, like, even like was Gerald Vick was like those types of guys that could scrum. I'm drawing a blank. He was number 0.
Well, Ben McLemore was big for them when he was there.
Even that, you know,
that was a big deal. So
even like Embiid and Wiggins, like all that stuff.
Oh, right,
you know.
exactly. There's no Embiid or Wiggins on this team. This is
I feel like they're starting to slowly go. Like,
They are a little bit because if you look at some of these other teams that are recruiting so well, like, you know, something like the Auburns of the world and the LSUs of the world, like, they're taking players that would go to Kansas. You know,
Monty Graham was the person I was thinking of, by the way.
Yeah. So, I mean, he still gets good players. It's just that he's got to really max them out this year to have them be a really awesome team.
And I'll ask you this. Oh, sorry, Zach. Go ahead.
I was saying they have an early test tomorrow. They play Gonzaga, right? So that would be a test. So maybe Gonzaga can prove to us that they deserve to be number 1, and also for Kansas to see, you know, what the deal is. If
Could be a good game.
should be a good game.
It's going to be a good game. Yeah, 100%. I mean, and like I told Kieran today, it's going to be really tough to take anything out of the first couple of weeks here, as these teams are kind of like jockeying to see like I said, with practice time and whoever's doing, these are like scrimmages for some of these teams. So you will be able to get a glimpse of like, the true guys really do show out though. Like, even if a team struggles, they're like, okay, well, that team is going to be good eventually. So
It seems like when looking at the top 25, I mean, for me at least, as someone who's more of like a macro level NCAA basketball fan who really just focuses on the tournament, it seems like it's pretty similar to how it was when they ended last year, besides a couple odds and ends, I'd say. So, yeah, to your point, it's going to be interesting to see how things shake out, if things continue how they were last year, or if teams just kind of fall apart. So.
Yep.
And so let me ask this. We step back. We look at the top 10, right? Look at my notes here. Frank, give me two. All right, so I'm going to throw this. It's fine. I want to do it on a player level. Let's go team first, right? Like, give me a team that you think is going to be a sleeper. And I know it's tough, right, when it's early, but just a team you're like, I don't know why these guys aren't getting a ton of love. They're going to be good. And then a team where you're just like, maybe Kansas is your pick, but it's just like, why is everyone thinking they're going to be good this year? Like, I don't see it. I just don't see it. Like, those two teams.
right. So I think Michigan State, if you look at them, I don't think that they might not be a great team this year, but they lost a ton from last year. But they've got some sneaky good guys that are on that team. The other Hauser is eligible for them. The two brothers both left Marquette. One went to Virginia. One went to Michigan State. Marcus Boone is going to be a nice player. And finally, Josh Langford's finally back. He's missed 2 years after he was going to be the next really good Michigan State player. I just wonder if he's healthy and has a nice season, that's great. Izzo's going to get the most out of his guys. You don't want to play them at the end of the year. So I'd say Michigan State's team is a little under the radar right now. So that could have a really good year. Team that's a little overrated. I mean, honestly,
You can roll with Kansas. I don't want to
roll with Kansas. I'm rolling with probably Louisville because
Really?
Louisville. I mean, and I'm just not sold on their big men play at all, and they got a lot of moving parts there too. I think Louisville might disappoint a little bit this year.
I was not. They played today too. Are they? Let's take a look at that.
Louisville did play today. I watched some of that game. A lot of bricks being thrown up out there.
You know who's getting smacked around a little bit?
Yeah.
Rhode Island.
Yeah,
Getting smacked around a little bit, Frank.
Let me tell you,
That +7 spread's not looking so hot for Rhode Island.
when Jermaine Harris was not playing today, that came out late. That wasn't going to help them. Arizona State, though, you want to watch a fun team. Remy Martin and Josh Christopher. Josh Christopher is my favorite freshman in the entire country.
No, I was going to say, give me a Pac-12. That was my next question. Give me a Pac-12 take. So go for it. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go from rolling with that.
I love Arizona State's two guards. Actually, he's the third guard. They have Alonzo Verge. He's the third guard. Remy Martin, first of all, awesome name. He's a really electric point guard. He might be the Pac-12 Player of the Year. Christopher is a definite first-round pick. Just think Nick Young with a little more like composure. So that turns into like a 10 to 15 year NBA scorer. And then Alonzo Verge, who I don't think passed the ball to anybody since like the second grade, but he can really score in basketball. So he's a really good guy to have on your team as well. So I like Arizona State. UCLA is the preseason team that everybody likes. The crowning out there. If Dacian Nix didn't go to the G League elite team, UCLA would have been a really good team this year. But they got a lot of guys back from last year. Chris Smith, who decided to pull his name from the NBA draft, he was a year and a half younger than his grade level when he enrolled at UCLA as a freshman. He was like almost barely a 17-year-old freshman. So he's taking his time to develop. He is a lottery pick waiting to happen next year. He's going to have a gigantic breakout year this year. So UCLA and Arizona takes a step back this year. I think they just had a player actually leave the team, Kerr Krisa. He went back to Estonia to play on the Estonian national team because his eligibility is currently in limbo.
Is he going to see CFS day camp? Remember that?
He did not attend the CFS day camp. He actually probably attended the CFS overnight camp here, and we sometimes talked to him in the cafeteria when the camp season was over.
Do you remember those kids, Zach?
They were in my group. They were in my group. And
were they really?
The one kid was in my group. Yeah, I forget. Man, I forget his name.
What were their
Ostertag.
No, they weren't. No, they weren't the kids from Estonia. No, it was like they were there for like a minute. No, those guys were a staple at the camp.
Oh, Joran was one of the names of the kids that came in.
Oh, that's a different name.
urine.
I could
Oh,
picture
that's right. Because we're like, is it urine or? Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, we can say it now. It's like it's 6 years, and you know what? And if he's listening to this podcast, like 15 time zones away, like you know what? Like get on the show. We'll talk about it. All right, but I'll tell you. Let's look real quick. So, are there any games to watch this weekend besides? All right, so Kansas Gonzaga is one of them. Anything else that leaps off at you? Obviously, with Thanksgiving weekend, everyone all these different tournaments going on.
Yeah, it's just, watching the games themselves. I mean, the tournament out in South Dakota had some pretty decent teams. Memphis was playing out there earlier today against St. Mary's. They just too much for
We
them.
rolled them.
We rolled them, and then Northern Iowa. I always enjoy Northern Iowa. I'll be honest with you. AJ Green, the new JJ Green fan. And they have a freshman, Bowen Bourne. He's a 5'10" lefty from Iowa. Here, I saw him last year in the AAU tournament in Indianapolis, light it up against the team with about 12 Division I players on it. His father's an NBA scout. He was lighting it up today in the tournament, too. He's one of my favorite little. He looks like he's a kid that should be playing like CYO basketball. He's out there just knocking shots down. So, Northern Iowa's a fun team to watch.
Let me ask you this. I feel like you go all around the basketball circuits too, like kind of low key too, like Zach, right? Like I feel like it's like, wait, you went to Indianapolis, like so. Give me like, you can. I'll just do this in a very like just general way. Do you have any like cool stories about anything someone might not like?
Yeah. So I mean, last year I went to 85 games, right? And then in the AAU circuit, I went to the Nike circuit, the Under Armour circuit, and the Adidas circuit. So I went to Indy twice. And the other one was in New Jersey. But when I went to the Nike circuit out in Indy, I saw Lonnie Bates play. I saw, Bonnie G, all those guys that were coming up. So probably at the end of the year, I counted for the class of 2020, so it's the current freshman class. I saw ESPN 90 of the top 100 players live in person.
Really?
So I had a really good judge of that class. So,
and that's Bronny James' class, huh?
No, that's the current freshman in college class.
Okay.
So I saw, I guess one of the interesting things, I went up to Connecticut last year, and I saw Kai Soto, who is a player who totally blew up college here and is for the G League Elite team, and Kareem Monet, who declared for the NBA draft but didn't make it. I actually saw all the kids in the G League Elite, the 5 that they took, all play last year. So I'm glad in the G League Elite squad.
Oh, I love it.
Jonathan Kuminga, Jalen Green, Nation Nix, Kai Soto, and Isaiah Todd. I got the full report on those 5.
You should start a little scouting company on the side for
Yeah,
yourself.
I do, but I am.
Oh,
Yeah,
of course,
well,
at that peak moment, it's like, ah!
I know, right?
Hold on, we got you, Frank. I don't even know. It's funny. I don't even know.
I'm in contact.
Sorry, right in the peak of that excitement, we lost you.
Yeah.
So Zach, say it again. Scouting thing.
I'm in contact with some colleges about some players, and I give some advice for some good and stuff like that. And some schools have taken off on some of my guys, so
The doctor.
That's exciting.
they do other stuff.
There you go.
Frank.
Dr.
Yeah.
Frank.
A lot of guys, Kieran. I do some wild trips. I drag my dad on some crazy trips when we're going to there was one day, if you want a story, there was a couple of years ago, we did there was a Saturday, no, it was a Good Friday, and I went to a Nike Adidas combo AAU tournament in New Jersey in the morning, and then we drove to Queens, New York, and went to the ESPN High School National Semifinals at Christ the King High School. Ben Simmons was playing the game, and I saw the Montfort team play. And then after that game, we drove to the Brooklyn Nets game against the Toronto Raptors. So I went to an AAU tournament, high school tournament, and the Brooklyn Nets game all in a row in the same day. That's a big thing right there.
That's incredible.
That's a big basketball day.
That's a big basketball day, Kieran. And every year I go up to the Hall of Fame over Martin Luther King weekend. Unfortunately, this year it's canceled. That's like a 21-game high school weekend I go watch. So, it's a lot of
Very
games.
cool.
I feel like the way you indulge in basketball is like the way I'm going to indulge in like turkey tomorrow and football tomorrow. I'll tell you, actually, that's actually a fun little segue. Real quick, so we heard the news, right? The Steelers and Ravens are postponed till Sunday, right? Okay, so we got, I'm not trying to be that guy, Zach, but I know I feel like you guys are more interested probably, I think we're all more interested in, right, the Cowboys-Washington football team game. more than the Texans Lions when both of their seasons are straight in the
Yeah.
toilet right now. Yeah, that's a gambler's game if that's all that is.
Right.
Save your appetite. Don't bet on it. Don't go near that. Because it's actually let's talk about that game for a second, right? So the Lions, I don't know what to think of them. Right, it's like I don't know what to think of you. They were like the person when you were in middle school or high school, like the girl or guy, like whoever you are watching the show. Your other preferences, right? Like you texting and you felt like, oh, that this might actually be something. And it's like, no, it's not. That's the Lions. Like literally, when they they asked me to hang out, and then they didn't even show up. It's like they lost 20-0 to PJ Walker and the Carolina Panthers, and you're just like, egad, like that's a brutal loss. It's like, so. All right. Any interest in this game? Anything to draw from it besides, I guess, if you're someone that's in Las Vegas, you're probably interested in it.
I was gonna say this game might actually be. I mean, I'm not super interested, but I think it could end up being a little bit better than what we think. It seems to me that the Texans are starting to gel a little bit on the offensive side of the ball. They're a little bit more explosive, and the Lions. I mean, after being shut out to a team like the Panthers, this is their Thanksgiving game, so maybe they wake up and look to kind of stand the home turf tomorrow.
It's like homecoming for them.
Yeah, and from you can look at it from a betting perspective. Well, picks out tomorrow morning, but Houston is -3. So Detroit's going to see that and be a little ticked off. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I think it might be better than what we think. It's not the two sexiest of teams, but
Houston's down a few weapons on the receiving corps, right? Randall Cobb's gone, and
Stills is banged up.
That's the other one.
I don't think he's playing. So Brandon Cooks, I mean, it's going to be pretty much all Brandon Cooks you would think in the air attack, but Detroit's defense will plan for that, obviously. So,
and question for you guys: what's Matthew Stafford's future? Like that is one of the most confusing things to me. Like I really thought a big year was coming for him, and like what is Detroit going to do with him after this year? Like I think that's a really big question mark with Detroit right now.
Do you think they blow it up? Like they kind of maybe move on from him. They obviously fire Patricia. They kind of move on from these contracts from like the expatriates that he brought in and like that culture, like a Danny Amendola, like all those guys, and just rebuild from scratch. Like, is that what you see in their forecast right now?
I think they have to.
Yeah, I agree.
Even like what you would. All right, so you're doing the rebuild. Are you including Stafford in your plans, or is he part of that? Like the taste of all that.
He's gone. I mean, I think Stafford would be. I would love to have him on another team out there. I mean, because I think he still has something in him. It's just whatever is going on in Detroit is just not working out.
I just like an evil spell of it. It's so great, isn't it? As a Packers fan, I'm sorry, I have to like laugh about it, but like it's unbelievable. It's like, hey, go to Detroit and just not play well. You'll always be 4-6 headed into Week 11. It's gonna be great. Like,
I mean, we've seen times where teams and quarterbacks just get into a funk, right, and then they go to a new scene and they're a whole totally different player. I mean, not to bring up any bad vibes with the Eagles or anything, but like Nelson Aguilar when Philly, he was a chump, like a bust, right? Now he's in Vegas and he still drops a ball here or there, but like he's in their eyes is almost like an all-star for them, and he's playing significantly better. It's like maybe a change of scenery for Stafford could really maybe light a fire under him a little bit, but yeah, I'm with Frank.
Look at Foles with the Eagles when you went back to them, like right,
yeah. So we've seen that happen before. It's just there's something just hanging over Detroit. I mean, they're like the Washington football team of the NFC East, really.
Yes, yes, they are in every sense. They are.
But you know what? That's a team that can Washington football team. That's a team that gets a Stafford and then turns into like a real team.
Exactly.
Like he would have a gigantic market for him. Like I look at him like that's the one guy I look at and I say to myself, everybody talks about how great the quarterbacks are in the NFL. There are a lot of really good quarterbacks in the NFL, but some just aren't in good fits. Like you could argue that Stafford and Matt Ryan are both in situations that Nick Spoke can still play, but they'd be better off in a different situation right now, both of them. So that's what I'm just interested. If we're looking at bad teams and what's going on, how do they finish the season? Where do they go after that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and think about it, like, talk about a new place. Like Phillip Rivers is only in Indy for 1 year. So that could be a potential landing spot, if he decides to retire for Stafford or something like that, if this were to actually happen, which I think is pretty likely and would make sense.
I love what Joe P was saying about like some people can't make in football seasons with Aguilar. I think that was a lot of that. Like there's something. He was a guy like if he was on the Phillies, if you will, he'd be batting like .068 and then moving on and hitting like 247 or at least. We're just like like you can hit a little bit at least. Like what? Like you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a sign of life. Huh, that's weird. Yeah, it's just interesting how that happens. I think that would be the case for Stafford or Matt Ryan, like you said, Frank.
It's an interesting point by Joe G in the chat. Justin Fields to Detroit. Well, that's only that.
Well, then they would just be rebuilding again in another 2 years because we know Ohio State doesn't produce quarterbacks. So.
Hey, there you go. Also, they got a gem in DeAndre Swift.
Justin Fields is good. I'm just saying, trends.
If DeAndre Swift gets out of the protocol in time, I like the Lions a lot tomorrow because I think it's going to be a lot of running the football between both teams. I like the under in that game a lot, too.
I don't know. I like Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I was going to say, I like the Texans, I think, tomorrow. But
well, I like the under more than I like the Lions. All right, but I'll say you guys, Brett mentioned the Washington football team, right? We're thinking that could be a fit for maybe Matt Stafford down the line. Look at that clickbait. But I was going to say, what do you think of this game? I'll almost throw it in the NFC East version of it, looking at it like, first of all, I think I asked you this question, Zach, when we were just casually chatting the other day. Like, is the winner of that game tomorrow in the inside track for the division in the NFC East, in your opinion?
I mean, it definitely sets them up in a better place than if they lose, obviously. I think whoever loses it could probably kiss their chances goodbye at this point. I mean, especially Washington, the Giants beat Washington twice. So right there, if there's a tiebreaker, they're gone. Eagles beat Washington, correct?
No, they don't. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I feel like it's like a wheel. It's like the Eagles usually beat. I mean, granted, you guys split, but like Dallas. I'm trying to think the first game, what happened between those two teams. Washington definitely beat some besides the Eagles. I feel like they won another game in the division. I feel like the only losses they have in the division against you guys, the Giants, it is.
Yeah, I'm double checking real quick. 'Cause that's a good question. Let's see.
But Frank, what do you think? Because as an Eagles fan, how vexing and bizarre is it that we're going into week 12? You got 3 wins and you're still in the division.
It's just so bad. I mean, but you know what? Hey, someone's got to win. So God. I mean, Dallas showed a little bit of life last week. You know what I mean?
That's a big win for them. I mean, can we all talk real quick about Minnesota was on a roll. They won 3 straight games in the NFC North, 1 at Lambeau, then they beat Detroit, which, whatever. But then they won at Soldier Field on primetime when the Bears are basically like, we are struggling. We have to beat this team. Like, they gave them their best punch and they still lost. Obviously, they ride behind Dalvin Cook, but then that's like such a weird loss for them. Like, they lose 31-28. And I think Andy Dalton coming back goose the Cowboys a great bet.
Oh, definitely. And I mean, it doesn't really matter. I honestly think the Giants are the best team in the division still. I really do. Yeah, I think out of the 4 teams. I mean, I still think that's the team that ends up coming out of the division, regardless of what happens.
Wow,
So,
I put an article out about the NFC East and like forecasting what's to come, and the biggest thing is like strength of schedule. I mean, the Eagles have the 5th toughest schedule the rest of the season, which I mean they have a gauntlet coming up with obviously Seattle on Monday night, and I think after there, forgive me if I'm wrong, it's Packers, then the Saints and the Cardinals, right? So that's 4 games in a row where it's like, man.
But they're also a team that, like, remember everyone was saying when they're 1-2 last year, and they're going to Lambeau on Thursday Night Football, and they can't win that game. They won that game, and they went up to Buffalo and won that game. Like, that's what's kind of bizarre about the Eagles. It's like they play to their competition in a sense.
yeah, not this year. I mean, this team's different, though. That offensive line is so
It's
out of sorts right now that, I mean, I don't know how the Eagles are going to have any chance of winning any of the next 4.
Mhm.
By the way, did you see? I didn't know this. Dallas' special team or strength and conditioning coach died.
Yeah.
That's got to rally him up, right? I mean, that's not. First of all, that's not what this is about, right? I didn't mean to make that that was awful. I was like,
he was actually with
we're
the
gonna play
Giants
for him. Is basically what I'm
He
trying
was
to say.
with the Giants. That's what I was going to say. He was with the Giants.
for like 11 years, I think, 10 or 11 years before Dallas. So, but they will rally both teams, I'd say, honestly, unfortunately. But, going back to NFC East, I think strength of schedule, you got to look at that. And both the Giants and the Cowboys, the Giants have the 22nd toughest, and the Cowboys have like the 26th.
Yep.
So I really think it's going to come down to Week 17 at MetLife Stadium, Giants, Cowboys, to be honest.
I like the unders in a lot of these games too. I don't know. I just feel like I don't know. There's something about there's like a voice in my head that I keep saying Washington's not that bad, and I'm like, yes, they are. Stop telling me they're not. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, but like why do I think they're good? They're not.
Some of these recent games that the Redskins played, they scored points on Thanksgiving. Like, I mean, if the offense has an advantage here on things with the short week, they're going to have an advantage. So if you're saying, if you're looking at line, if you're looking over under, I mean, depending on where the number is, I mean, these teams are going to score.
Let's pull it up real quick,
46.
guys.
It's
You
46.
got it already up?
Yeah, I think over.
I like that over as well. I think the Washington football team's offense with Alex Smith behind the wheel is totally different than what it was with Kyle Allen or Dwayne Haskins. Things,
But doesn't Vegas knows that, right? Like Vegas knows that.
They're probably taking into consideration a pick from Andy Dalton every now and then.
Rhode Island's coming back.
That's right.
Rhode Island's coming back. They cut it to 8.
Yeah,
By the way, St. Peters is hanging around against the Johnnies there.
51.5, I think I saw. For 51.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
That's
That's a little steep. Yeah, that's a little steep.
That's a little steep.
these are weird lines. They're really weird lines.
Yeah. It's just.
I think Washington's going to win tomorrow. I don't know why. I think they are. I think Packers always struggled against Washington when McCarthy was there, for whatever that's worth. We always lost them. Even they sucked, we always lost to them. I'm just throwing. And Carolina.
Game.
Just throwing that out there. Carolina too. Yeah, I hear you. But I'm saying Carolina too. We always lost to Ron Rivera, and we always lost the Redskins. So.
Was McCarthy throwing on 4th and 1 like Florida last week?
I'm not okay with what happened last week. Do you want to talk about?
I purposely decided not to talk about that.
Let's do it. Let's exercise the demons. Let's do a little.
No, but in one of my fantasy leagues, I have Rodgers, Adams, and Crosby, and I'm watching that game, going, What are we doing here on 4th and 1? We're trying to throw it to Jamal Williams.
Well, no. So the play was designed for Adams. They doubled him.
Well, I know, but everyone knew that was coming.
You can't. Yeah, exactly. The last resort can't be and if the flat option's the second source, then he's got to always be open. It's got to be some type of chip block where he extends and the guy that's supposed to be on him misses his his assignment and stuff. I'm gonna say this. Let's do it, but we're not. We're here. I can't.
This is the night. This is the night. This is.
It is. We're over at Wednesday is what I call so it's morning Monday. Just turn it off Tuesday. So and then Wednesday's we're over at Wednesday, and then Thursday on Thursday, and we keep going. But right. So it's okay today. But all right. So I'm gonna say this and be the optimism in the room here. The optimistic person, I should say. You can't turn the ball. I think they're a good team. I think they could be a team at the end. I think their defense sucks. I think Mike Pettin's a horrible defense. I think literally him and Jim Schwartz could be like the Spider-Man meme where it's it's 3rd and 4. We're playing 8 yards off the line of scrimmage. Good idea. It doesn't work. Okay. And they're not getting pressure. And Preston Smith's been absolutely horrible. And I'm glad that every week it just keeps getting exposed. He jumps off sides nonstop. He's not getting
He can lines up off sides at this point.
Oh, it's horrible. Deshaun Gary's he's playing snaps. He's got way better numbers.
There's 2 things I've learned in watching Packers games this year.
Please.
1, Preston Smith lines up off sides. And 2, Mercedes Lewis holds every game. And every game they say the same thing. They go, God, he's one of the best blocking tight ends in the league. I can't believe he got called for a holding penalty there. I've watched 4 straight Packers games and it's holding 89. I'm that's Mercedes Lewis again. I'm he holds every game now.
I know. Though, Grant, I think that I won't rip the offense, and especially the MVS stuff. The way I look at it is right. I go back and forth on the seesaw because I get it's not his fault. I get that because first of all that play, I get all that, but I also hate that crowd that says that because I'm though you can't fumble there though. You can't do that. That's also a big play, and you did that, and we lost the game. It's framed up for you, so it says it's not about what you do right. It's about what you don't do wrong. You can't fumble there. But not to harp on that. I harp on, and I think everyone in the room here could say that felt like a playoff game. You know what I mean? It just felt like a very I felt on the couch. I felt like the life got sucked out of me watching that game. But that's actually what helped me kind of regenerate my emotions quickly because I was thinking, it's not the NFC. Everyone else in the NFC North lost or didn't play. It's a loss, but you know what? You never are allowed to win games when you turn the ball over 4 times. I don't care why you turned it over 4 times, how you turned it over 4 times. If you turn the ball over 4 times, you're not going to win the game. And the fact that you almost went on the road and beat a team that's actually pretty good, and you still almost did that, I almost need you to lose that game. I can't have you thinking that you can get away with that stuff in the future because you can.
Yeah.
You can't go back to that game and be see, everything went wrong and we somehow still won. That's not good.
I mean, remember last time I was on the show, it was Thursday night with the Titans and the Colts, and we were talking like, is this a must-win for the Colts or the Titans? We were talking that Green Bay game was the must-win for the Colts, and they did it. They needed that game so much more than the Packers ever needed that game.
You think so?
That was their season right there. They needed that game so desperately.
Tell me more. Why do you think that?
Just because
Tennessee won too?
right, and because the way you look at it, it's like, okay, they only have so many more opportunities on their schedule to be like, okay, we can hang our hat on our defense. The way they started that game down 28 points like immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what in the world is going on with Indy? Like, are they going to fall again and like have it? And then the defense just totally woke up. And that
The Packers defense totally fell asleep.
or the Packers defense came back to reality, and then
They suck.
and then
They're
it's
not
like,
good.
the Colts, that could change the whole season right there, that comeback. It really could.
Yeah.
And Karen, to maybe help you with this a little bit, I would view that game as your get out of jail free card because, like you said, everyone in the NFC North lost that week, so technically it doesn't hurt you. There's really no competition in that division, in my opinion, except for this is a clear Packers division. It's easy for me to say. If I was a fan like you, I'd be biting my nails nervous.
Yeah, if they lose this game on Sunday, I'm going to break the TV. So that's that. You know?
But and to your point, like you said, you almost want them to lose a game like that so that they know they can't get away with such sloppy play and turnovers, right? So you would think they would bounce back. They have a good coach, good staff, good players, good leadership, all that stuff. So you would think this could springboard them in a sense. So in a way, that was a good week to lose for all the reasons that we just talked about. So
Yeah.
if that
All right,
helps
well, so,
your anxiety stress there.
oh, it's up for this game on Sunday. But, you know, it's like Thanksgiving. It's always, I remember looking at this like it's Thanksgiving Sunday. Like, oh, it's going to be a rush. But, all right, real quick. So we got Thanksgiving around the corner as we wrap up the show here. Let me ask you, what favorite things about Thanksgiving? Anything that just kind of pops off?
I like the meaning behind it. I just like the thankfulness. I think a lot of people take some stuff for granted, and should be thankful every day. But I think today is Thanksgiving is a reminder. Be thankful and appreciative. So sentimental meanings is what I like.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100% what Zach said, and eating, obviously. But 100% being thankful for everything, especially this year when it's been such a crazy year.
Exactly.
Because, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I'm just doing it with my mom, dad, and sister. It's going to be really small this year. We usually have a huge Thanksgiving with like 20-plus people, but just thankful that, we're healthy and safe and happy, and, this is the year to really look for that.
Exactly. I couldn't have said it any better myself. And it's funny, so I'm glad you guys said that too, because I feel like everyone on these shows like football, food, like it's just like I get it. It's great. Like it's like what else? Like, yeah, no, I agree, and it's like I think just I like this sounds really weird. I like holidays where there's no script to it, right? Like not like that. Like that sounds right. I like Christmas, for example. There's presents, like there's like if obviously you're religious, like you go to church, like right, like things like that. Like, and I'm not like downplaying any of that, but I just think that there's something I like about Thanksgiving where it's just like. You could obviously have a party of 50, but you could also just be like with your mom, your dad, your sister, like kind of like what I'm doing, obviously, like and like just watching football. Like, I love watching football. My dad on Thanksgiving. I mean, I love watching sports all the time in my family, but I always love Thanksgiving because it's like right. He's obviously watching the Eagles on Sundays. I'm watching the Packers. Like Thanksgiving is like that time where we're eating, everyone's having a good time. Like they're not teaching, obviously, and they have a nice long weekend, so they're happy with school, and I'm happy, obviously, because I'm not working, and it's just like we're watching football on a Thursday, and it's like a whole weekend ahead of you. It's just nothing but great vibes.
Yeah. Also, I always think of Thanksgiving as I have the next several days off, so
Isn't it great?
I can really enjoy the holiday and be like, okay, I can chill for a couple of days after, not worry about work.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Absolutely.
That's it. To that point, that's actually a perfect segue. So we won't be on the show tomorrow. We'll Thanksgiving off, for everyone, and especially because I feel like there's only 2 games. We pretty much broke them down. It's like if there was some Steelers-Ravens action, I feel like you could make the argument. We could find a way to do a little 30-minute little chit-chat about the games tomorrow, but I think we covered it good today. And to that point, if you want to check us out and follow us on any of the fun stuff. If you missed any of the audio episodes, you can check us out on Spotify and iTunes. And check us out on social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Reddit @_GetSidetracked. And make sure you always visit the website because Zach's got his picks. He's ready to go. And some really cool articles. Your cousin Dave wrote that awesome article. Let me even drop that real quick in the chat for everyone.
The NHL rolled out some reverse retro uniforms and try to spice things up this year. So my cousin David's a huge hockey fan, and he ranked them from 31st to 1st, but he thinks we're best from like a historical perspective and just from an overall appearance perspective. So definitely check it out and get controversial with it. If you hate it, let us know. So, or if you love it,
and dropped it in there for the chat. So, like I said, you can always check out all that cool stuff on our social media outlets, and then make sure you check us out on, if you're not watching, it's on Twitch or YouTube, but check us out on Twitch. You can follow, subscribe, follow to the left with the heart. You can subscribe to the right. It's currently Amazon Prime. Everyone's got Prime right now. Come on, I mean it's Christmas time, like we get it. Like so, come on, it's free. Come on, that's good stuff. And then make sure you check us out on YouTube as well, and you can do a little search and all that cool stuff. And that's free too. So also no excuse, because I know everyone's watching those YouTube videos on how to bake Christmas cookies and how to carve a turkey. You know, come on, just get a little love in there. You know, for us, we love it. And then you know what? It's that point about the holidays. It's right around the corner. So if you need any kind of cool swagger, always check out our store and you can see some really cool stuff. But this was a lot of fun. Well, Thanksgiving Eve action. It's funny. I feel like back in the day, you know, in your younger 20s, we're in line at Barnaby, Zach. You know, ready to get some blue moons for $4 at Barnaby.
more like Coors Light and Natty, baby.
God, I'm getting hungover just like hearing those words.
Yeah, I just got sick. You just didn't say it. Oof.
I know, like the acid reflux like just came up. This is a lot of fun though. This is great. A little Wednesday out of the norm show. I want to thank everyone. Also, like the Joes crushed it in the chat. It was a lot of fun with them. Always our number one fan as well. It was a lot of fun to get everyone going, and you know, we hope everyone has a great Thanksgiving. I know you got your fun plans, and any good vibes or parting thoughts.
Well, I was gonna say a final thought in the chat. Wentz should be benched. So there's our final thought from the chat tonight.
Oh yay! Oh, from your Uncle Rick.
Yeah, he's throwing zingers there.
Was he over at the Sunday dinner?
He was. At the Sunday
awesome!
dinner. Yeah. But
I love it.
But yeah, no. Positive thoughts would be to have a happy and safe Thanksgiving to everyone who's listening and tuning in. So
100% what Zach just said.
And if for whatever reason you're watching from a state where your bars are still open, just Uber home tonight. This is always you know, I'm not trying to be like the mom or dad on the show, but it's just like it literally is not that hard to just jump in a Lyft. If you're having a good time, meet up with your old high school and college buddies, go for it. But just, you know, always be safe because trust me, you don't want a DUI on Thanksgiving. I'm just saying, you know, he's just, the way I said that was sounding like you don't want to trust me, like, but no, you don't want that. So like, no, you want turkey on Thanksgiving, you don't want a prison sentence. So, all right, well, it was a great show. It's a hell of a way to end it, right? Wow, you know, I need to just stop talking. I feel like at this point, I'm already thinking about the football and the turkey, and I'm already thinking about the college basketball. And Frank, I want to jump into it right now.
There we go.
Is that where we're going into after this?
Jump in, Kieran.
Yeah, I love it. Awesome. Let's jump in then. All right, so I want to thank everyone for checking us out tonight, and we'll see everyone back.